Good morning and welcome to Newsroom here on GHOne Television. My name is Awisi, Dede. Let's take a look at our headlines this morning. And this morning, we go heavy on the post-budget review because minority in Parliament have described the 2024 media budget as uninspiring, as one that lacks new ideas. We will delve deeper and bring you more reactions on this. CETAG instructs members to withdraw all services and promise to take legal actions against the directive to freeze their July salaries. And later, NPP flag bearer Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia defends his proposed policy of credit ratings, which will allow Ghanaians purchase items like mobile phones on credit. And later, Ghana is set to introduce paternity leave as part of a series of labor reforms planned for the year 2024. We have details of these stories and many more shortly, but we'll be back after this break. Welcome back to our first story. The finance minister has also affirmed that the strategies implemented to address the cedi depreciation are producing favorable results. The minister, who doubles as member of parliament for Karaga, said the economy is rebounding stronger than expected and assured that government will sustain the gains made to further reduce inflation and bring relief to businesses and citizens. Take a look.
The 18.6% depreciation rate to the US dollar as of June 2024 represents an improvement over the 22% recorded for the same period last year. And gross international reserves reached 3.1 months of import cover as at end June 2024, against 2.5 months of import cover in the same period last year. Mr. Speaker, it is evident that we are on the right trajectory. The economy is rebounding stronger than anticipated. The choices we've made and the policies we are implementing are yielding results. We've reversed the negative trends. All the indicators are looking better. I want to assure you that we will stay on this path and continue to make the right choices. Our economy is recovering, and the recovery is fast and strong.
Well, still on the post-budget review, the finance minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, revealed that an amount of 1.5 billion cedis was used to support over 1 million students under the free senior high school program this year. During the presentation of the media budget review, stated that a parent whose children have benefited from the policy since its inception have accumulated savings totaling 1.8 billion Ghana cedis, indicating a remarkable 50% increment in enrollment and enhanced access to secondary education.
The Ghana School Feeding Program commenced in 2006-2007 with 1,950 beneficiaries. Over the years, there has been considerable growth of the program, from 1.6 million beneficiaries in 2016 to over 3.8 million beneficiaries in 2023, and is currently in the region of 4 million beneficiaries. In 1 year, Mr. Speaker, we have added over 200,000 students. Mr. Speaker, an amount of over 662 million Ghana cedis was paid to caterers as at the end of June 2024. The program continues to provide employment of over 34,000 caterers and cooks, especially women, to generate income to enable them to take care of their families. The program has also created a ready market for local farmers, thereby boosting the local economy.
Well, the minority in Parliament has described the 2024 mid-year budget presented by the Finance Minister as uninspiring. The Minister presented the budget yesterday. We all know that, and indicated that government is outlining several measures and its commitment to fiscal discipline. Well, addressing the media after the budget presentation yesterday, Minority Leader Dr. Keizo Latoforsen explained that government could have cancelled some taxes in order to boost business confidence, but failed.
Ghana is now exceedingly difficult as the cost of living has now become unbearable. Many Ghanaians are unable to put food on the table for their families and loved ones. People can simply not make ends meet. In fact, the that is the true state of our country. The NDC Minority Caucus expected nothing less than the removal or the abolition of the following new taxes: the e-levy, the COVID levy, the bulletin tax, the boiler tax, the emission levy, the VAT on domestic consumption of electricity, and addressing the distortions of the value-added tax regime. The Bawumia government will be remembered as the government that has left Ghana behind with the following: bankrupt economy, default or yentumintia economy, a haircut economy, debt-riddled economy, overtaxed economy, high inflation economy, high food inflation economy, a shrinkflation economy, in fact, a high monetary policy rate economy, a high lending rate policy rate economy, a high unemployment economy, an extremely high youth unemployment economy, a misery or a hochery economy, a collapsed state-owned enterprises economy that they are leaving behind, a collapsed cocoa sector economy, a bankrupt Bank of Ghana, a Bank of Ghana that is positively insolvent to the extent that they are not in a position to generate enough revenue to run the affairs of the central bank, a bankrupt cocoa board, a high food inflation never witnessed in the Fourth Republic, and the highest youth unemployment never witnessed in the Fourth Republic. This is the legacy of the MPP Akufo-Addo-Bawumia government.
Meanwhile, the majority caucus said the Minister for Finance in his presentation has not been honest. According to them, the strategies and fiscal policies put in place by government will be felt by Ghanaians.
Minister did a yeoman's job. He put out the facts. He did not engage in propaganda. He dealt with the issues. When we assumed office, the NDC government was managing it with just 49 million Ghana cedis. Today we have expanded the livelihood empowerment program, providing support to the most vulnerable to the tune of over 400 million Ghana cedis. Now, school feeding. A lot of our rural folks, because of poverty, they don't go to school. Under NDC, we had 1.6 million Ghanaian children being covered under the school feeding program. Today, we have 4 million Ghanaian children on the school feeding program. What I'm saying is that, yes, we have not created a perfect system, but we have a far, far, far better system in place than what we came to meet. What is the NDC saying? Criticizing and saying what they want to say. But so far, they've not been able to introduce any social intervention program, not even in their campaigns. And by the way, we are calling on President Mahama to accept the invitation by Dr. Bawumia for a debate. We don't want politics of insult, name calling, insinuations and all. I am calling on him to stand shoulder to shoulder with Dr. Bawumia and debate on the issues.
So you had the majority leader saying that the Minister for Finance submission yesterday in Parliament, according to him, has been honest, contrary to what I said earlier. But away from that, we have the programs manager with EduWatch, Divine Pay, on basically the finance minister's submission on the free SHS. Divine, if you're on the line, thank you for making time to speak with us. The minister said that 9.9 million has been used so far for the execution of the free SHS policy. How effective do you believe these funds have been utilized as far as providing quality education is concerned?
All right, thanks for having me, and good morning to your viewers. Let me first of all start by saying that for me, my expectation generally from the mid-year budget presentation was looking at if government would have said something on strengthening the digital education space, especially at the lower primary school or the primary school level basic school, because that's the key area that the investments actually needs to go through on how government will have to provide an enabling environment for educational technology entrepreneurs to thrive so that we can increase access to digital education. But sadly, I not hear anything to that regard. But going forward, I think it's very important that government begins to pay attention to strengthening the digital education space such that we can, because that's what the world is migrating to, and we need to be strengthening our education system or positioning the education system as such. Now, coming back to your question about the expenditure on the Fresno High School, yes, government has made such substantial investments in Fresno High School and then free TVET as well, and that's on record, and I don't see any deviation from what we also know. The challenge, however, is also about the fact that as much as you are spending that much on Fresno High School, you need to ask yourself what is the opportunity cost. The opportunity cost is that we are seeing funding to basic education dwindling, especially for the capital expenditure aspects of the education spending. If you look at the whole education expenditure trend, it is such that we have it in three folds. We have the capital expenditure, we have the goods and services, and then we have the compensation component. If you want to look at the quality of investments in education when it comes to teaching and learning, then you have to look at the goods and services aspects of the budget line. If you look at that line, you will notice that of the investment government is making in education, as much as 90% of the goods and services budgets is going to Fresno High School, while 10% is just left for basic education. If I say basic education, then that one cuts across the KG primary and then junior high school, and then also at the same time, the education offices, the regional and then the district offices are also expected to have benefited from that 10% of the goods and services budget line. So clearly, Fresno High School is taking about 70% of the line. And it tells you that while government may be making good investment in the senior high school or the Fresno High School, it is coming at a cost that is not good for strengthening foundational learning at our primary school level. So for me, that is where the issue is the most. So while we may want to trumpet the amount we are spending on the Fresno High School, fair enough, but we need to be mindful that there is an opportunity cost that is actually leading to low of investments in lower education and then also at the KG and then primary school level. So we need to be mindful of that, and government would have as well be able to give us an update on what she's doing to be able to increase investment at the basic education level. It doesn't have to just be left at the senior high school level.
But Divine, what do you think contributed to the fact that not much attention is being paid to the lower, the basic schools, unlike the secondary schools? What do you think contributed to that?
Yeah, that's a point clearly I'm making. If there is a clear attention given to the basic, of course, you may still have spent that much on Fresno High School, but clearly you have also find ways of improving your education spend such that you can still channel good amount of resources to the basic education level. But you are in an economics fix, so increasing your expenditure on education is also a challenge to you. So the little you are channeling into it, you would have to spend the goods and service line about 90% on the Fresno High School, and then about 10% on the other subsectors outside the tertiary level. And then when we even talk about that 90%, as much as 70% is going into feeding, just feeding alone. So for me, it again comes to the point about looking at the whole approach to implementing the operational high school. If you don't want to review to lessen the financial burden on you, then look at other ways that are available to you, such that while you still want to spend huge on the operational high school, you can still have expenditure increment that is beneficial to the basic education level as well. For instance, if you want to do it, you will have to increase your per GDP spending on the education. Currently, we are doing around 3% of GDP, which falls short of the international requirement of us. At least we're supposed to be doing about 4 to 6% of GDP on education. We have not met that international benchmark. So if you want to keep spending on the operational high school, if you don't want to review and remove the cost elements or too much of the financial burden on, if you don't want to do that, then at least try to meet your threshold when it comes to GDP spending on education, such that you can still have a good lot of money available to channel to the basic education level as well.
Right. Thank you so much, Divine Pay. We just spoke to Divine Pay, and he's the programs manager with Edward, giving us updates and reactions on the Finance Minister's submission on free SHS. Away from that, but still on the budget review yesterday, Ghana is set to introduce paternity leave as part of a series of labor reforms planned for the year 2024. The announcement was made by the Finance Minister during the mid-year budget review in Parliament yesterday. He stated that government, in collaboration with its social partners, have developed a draft labor bill 2024 aimed at strengthening labor administration and regulating the world of work. Among the key reforms proposed are the introduction of paternity leave, the extension of maternity leave, and the improvement in labor migration governance and employment coordination. Let's take a look at the Finance Minister's submission in Parliament yesterday.
Government, in collaboration with its social partners, has developed a draft labor bill 2024 to strengthen labor administration and regulation of the world of work. Key reforms proposed include strengthening labor migration governance, improving employment coordination, extension of maternity leave, and introduction of paternity leave, among others. The labor law is expected to be promulgated before the end of this year.
You're still watching Newsroom here on GHOne TV. We'll be back after this break. Well, per the story we just played earlier, parent coach and family system practitioner Alia Chumbarima has lauded the move to get the paternity leave law passed this year. While speaking in an interview with me, Alia stated that the law will afford working fathers to be present at the early stage of child development, which is a crucial aspect of good parenting.
If this is a change that's coming, I fully and totally embrace it. I totally support it. I think it's more than even the father being there. It's very important that our children are able to see that raising them is teamwork. It's between mom and dad. It's also very important for our boys to also see their father stepping into the role of child caring or nurturing. Because before that, you know, if you tell your boy child that, daddy the notion is that daddy works and mommy takes care of children, because they've seen mommy staying at home to take care of a child for 3 months or for 6 months or whatever. But if dad is home, they realize that it is a shared responsibility, because we're raising boys now to take up more responsibility in the home, to become more engaged in household chores, to become more engaged so that they can do things on them all the time. You see a lot of times when women feel overwhelmed that their husbands are not taking part in, especially in the beginning stages of a child, when you don't have a community around you to support you. You need the man to take up some responsibility. So you need the man to help take you to the hospital, especially if you've just had a baby, you are still sore from the baby. You need somebody who is going to hold the baby in the night while you take some rest so that you can still get some breast milk. So yes, you hear those kinds of stories, and I feel like the man being at home will also experience how difficult it is to be able to be a full-time carer of a newborn infant.
Well, the Colleges of Education Teachers Association has instructed all its members in the 46 public colleges of education to withdraw all services in response to the Education Minister's directive to the Controller and Accountant General Department to freeze their July salaries. Members of CETAG have been on strike for the past 6 weeks over the government's failure to implement an arbitration awarded by the National Labour Commission in 2023. Well, according to the teachers, until the employer complies with the arbitration awards by the commission, they will not resume work. You're seeing on your screen an excerpt of the statements there. This is still Newsroom here on GHOne Television. We'll be back after this break. Welcome back from the break. Now, in a bid to enhance the free flow of traffic and ensure safety on our streets, drivers have been cautioned to avoid wrongful parking on the street of Accra. The Accra Metropolitan Assembly, with support from the Smart City Parking Limited, is advancing an initiative to promote safe and smart parking practices across the city. There's more.
Indiscriminate parking of vehicles has become a headache for most local authorities, especially in the national capital, Accra. The haphazard parking of vehicles on most streets in Accra has given rise to the uncomfortable situation of vehicular traffic and avoidable accidents in the country. Most drivers avoid places such as Nima and Mamobi, two areas notorious for indiscriminate street parking.
Nima, Mamobi, Choco and all those things, we don't talk about them because the person will park in middle of the road and be loading. We can't talk about it. You are behind him and you'll be blowing the horn and he will not mind you. For them, they are the Zongo guys. They don't care about you, the person following them. They will stand in the middle of the road and load. For the Zongos and the Muslims in particular, they respect their elders a lot. So their elders should come in and educate the young ones.
Some assemblies have responded to the inconvenience posed by the development and have since deployed city guards who deal with the situation by clamping vehicles parked at wrong places.
No credit say we quantum parking there mostly across we traffic across traffic. Na yan pa ne say when you corner wa park ka krebio ma me madam fin kasa be 2 minutes no ubehu one thing is one more tete ndu nsere hu omo ubehu ya no mo de ahye wontumi ntwim fa so nti aje se wotu esika no omo mo 2 million no be ja ho na se won pay 2 million de aje se omo do coffee na go to 5 million.
Despite the inconvenience posed by parking at unapproved spots on the streets, the drivers say they cannot help it as there are just a few parking spaces in the city.
From Tetekwashi right to taking this road, Liberation Road here, is there a parking space? No, it's only the bus stops. So any place you park on your own risk and it's not parking, period. There's no enough parking spaces on our highways and on our roads.
But the Accra Metropolitan Assembly And Smart City Parking refutes this claim.
It's not entirely true that there are not enough parking spaces. There are actually parking spaces. The issue has to do with sometimes the recklessness that some of our drivers bring on board in the CBD.
Regarding the issue of vehicle clamping due to illegal street parking, drivers have been advised to avoid parking haphazardly on the roads.
This is where Smart City comes in to enforce traffic regulation rules. By that, I mean that when somebody is not conversant with the way traffic should flow in the CBD, they come. It is our duty, our mandate, to make sure that we put all those things in order. Based on how some businesses go on at some places, we allow parking. Some places we cannot allow parking, and we know everywhere that there is parking space at any moment in time in during the day when you come. And so we are able to direct you that even where you want to park, assuming it is not a good place, we are able to give you a better place to park. You go do your business, you go.
With the cooperation of all road users, the Accra Metropolitan Assembly believes that this initiative will significantly improve traffic conditions and enhance the overall driving experience in Accra.
With this education, drivers and road users have been cautioned to avoid indiscriminate parking on the road to avoid unnecessary traffic and accidents. For GHOne News, Obed Kingaglo, Accra.
Let's do some business stories now. Well, the finance minister, as our earlier story we brought to you, has affirmed that the strategies implemented to address the cedi depreciation are producing favorable results. The minister, who doubles as the Member of Parliament for Karaga, said the economy is rebounding stronger than expected and has assured that government will sustain the gains made to further reduce inflation and bring relief to businesses and citizens. Well, we have on Zoom Dr. Joseph Obeng, who is the president for the Ghana Union of Traders Association. Thank you, sir, for making time to join us on Newsroom. What do you make of the finance minister's submission on the state of the economy?
Yeah, if you look at the figures presented and the fact that we are having a seeming stability of the economy, the fact that inflation has dropped, not really significant, but then it has dropped, we can see clearly that the government is making every effort to revitalize the economy. But for us, what is very important for us is how they will put necessary measures that will sustain these gains that we're talking about. That's the most important thing for us, because business thrives on a stable environment, and this is what we seek most at this time. The minister also assured that there is not going to add another tax, and truly there was no additional tax. Then also he has promised to spend within his limit. It means that he is serious about stabilizing the economy, because most of the time our programs are being that we over spend. And so once this assurance have been given, then of course you can see that they are serious to stabilize the economy.
Okay, let's talk about the impact of the cedi depreciation to the businesses, I mean, the people you represent. I mean, the government has stated that they've put in place strategies to make sure that the cedi has actually depreciated. Is that the true, does that show what is actually happening with you there? Because you are the men on the ground. Hello, doctor.
Yeah, if you look at where we are coming from, then of course, exchange rate at this level is still very high, even though we are having some stability at this time. So we can still do better to bring it down, because it has made cost of doing business really very high. You understand? When it comes to exchange rate, is the main factor of costing. And so coupled with other taxes that we are made to pay. You see, in the media budget, they could not tackle the mainstream budget. You know, media budget is normally for review or supplementary or revising the targets and all that. That's why we're not expecting that they are going to reduce or remove some of the taxes that we are talking, and we'll push those things to the mainstream budget in November. That one we are not going to joke. Make sure that most of these taxes are removed so that we can have respite to grow as businesses.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Joseph Obeng. He's the president for GUTA, and we just spoke to him there. Still on the budget, the Minister of Finance, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, says government initiatives to position Ghana as a premier tourist destination in the sub-region is yielding positive results. The minister disclosed that a total of $1.8 billion has been generated in tourist revenue, a testament to the success of these efforts. Take a listen.
Mr. Speaker, Ghana is being positioned as an internationally competitive tourism destination. Tourist arrivals have increased from about 500,000 in 2023 to almost 600,000 in the first half of 2024. This is an increase in several hundreds of thousands of tourists. And this has led to receipts of about $1.8 billion compared to $1.5 billion over the same period last year. To complement this progress, we've enhanced tourism infrastructure, marketing, supply chain links through the redevelopment of key tourist sites such as Eburi Gardens, Ya Asantua Mausoleum, the Museum at Ejisu, and the Piccolo Slave Camp.
Well, it's time for sports, and Monica is in the studio with the very latest.
Now, many thanks for joining me here on the Sports Brief. My name is Monica Bukai. Let's begin with Olympics. And Ghana's ambassador to France, His Excellency Anna Bosman, has expressed her pride and encouragement of Ghana's people in Team Ghana's involvement in the 2024 Paris Olympic Games. Her visit is seen as a significant morale booster for the athletes who are competing on the international stage. Now, Her Excellency Anna Bosman emphasized the importance of their participation and the honor they bring to the nation through their hard work and dedication. Let's take a listen.
Here, it wasn't an easy plate, is it? It's because you're qualified to be able to come here. And there, I know, very high athletes and whatnot, people who are very well versed in the Olympic Games and also in other games. But remember that what matters is that you guys are here. In spite of all odds, you know, I know training, financial, all sorts of obstacles that you may have met along the way, you know, but you are here. And what it means is that in your own way, you are winners and you are representing us. You're representing Ghana. We thank you for that. We thank you in advance because it's not easy. I've been speaking to some of my colleague ambassadors and they've been telling me that yes, our team, we've got 100, we've got 300, we've got 600. They thought that they were going to make me feel like this. I said, yeah, I've got a small team, but watch them, you know. So as I say, it is not the size that matters. The size matters because they have more people to be in more disciplines. That is true. But in the disciplines that you are in, all that we expect you to do is to do your best. And that's what we're praying for you, that you do your best. Give of your best. That's what you can do. Give of your best. And then also you need to, of course, encourage each other. I don't know where all the different sides are, and we are not always going to be together, but as far as you can, go and watch each other's disciplines.
Now, still on the Olympics, Ghana would have thought, or many would have thought, Ghanaian high jump queen Rose Amweni-Mayeboah is only good at what she loves best, which is the high jump. But the 22-year-old has revealed some special interest or hobbies she engaged in while in senior high school. Here is Rose Amweni-Mayeboah speaking to Blitz from the Games Village in Paris. Let's still stay in Paris. Now, Ghana's relay team has secured an automatic qualification for the semi-finals of the 4x100 meters race at the Paris 2024 Olympic Games after being part of 16 countries to have qualified from the World Relay Championship in Bahamas in May this year. Notwithstanding this great news, the team continued to fine-tune its baton change, which possesses a threat to every relay team. Benjamin Willie Graham, a colleague, has been with the team and put this report through.
Team Ghana is not just here alone, but there's St. Vincent and the Grenadines also here, all of them preparing for the Olympic Games. And this is one of the most iconic practice stadiums for countries that have been booked here to continue their practice. But amazingly, I would say that it's a very wonderful place. We've had a very quiet day at the Games Village. The athletes have had enough rest. This morning, Rosie Abua had the opportunity to go to the gym and work out. Professor Andrew Owusu is a team's coach, and he's been working with them. And you can actually see the likes of Azibotio, Jopo, Ibrahim Husseini, and of course, you can talk about the man Saminu Abdurrashid, and then Benjamin Azamati. This is Team Ghana's quartet here. And so Azamati is going to do the 100 meters together.
Now, the 2024 Paris Olympic football competition officially kicks off today with host France taking on USA. France will play their first men's game of the tournament 48 hours before the opening ceremony on Friday. The women's tournament begins on Thursday, July 25. The Paris Games will see 16 men's teams from 6 confederations go for Olympics glory, with 12 teams in the women's tournament. In the men's tournament, the top 2 out of each group will progress into the quarterfinals.
Well, thank you, Monica, for bringing us updated sports. But let's do some local stories now, because access to quality early childhood education is essential for every child, regardless of their background or socioeconomic status. Unfortunately, some parents have not paid critical attention to early childhood education. As a result, parents have been encouraged to establish a solid foundation for their children, placing emphasis on values, godliness, discipline, and moral teachings during their early years. This, according to the Municipal Girl Education Officer for Ghana East, Irene Amoa, will improve the learning outcomes of the children.
Globally, 175 million children of pre-primary age are not enrolled in schools. Countries where high numbers of children not in pre-primary education continue to miss a critical investment opportunity and are at risk of suffering deep inequalities from the start. In low-income countries, only 2 out of 5 young children are enrolled in pre-primary education. To address these issues, Ghana launched an early childhood education policy in 2021 to strengthen the physical, cognitive, psychosocial, and emotional growth of children enrolled in early childhood education. Speaking during the graduation ceremony of the Kwabena cluster of schools, Municipal Girl Child Education Officer for Ghana East, Irene Amoa, emphasized the need for parents to invest in early childhood education of their children to nurture them into responsible adults in the future.
Early childhood is important because it's the foundation for every child. It helps the child to develop mentally and even health-wise. So I will advise parents that as you send your children to school early, it will help them to interact with their peers. It will also help them to play. And mentally, it's going to help them. And even health-wise, as they play, they become healthy. So parents, please send your children to school early so that they will develop in all areas of their lives.
Coordinator for the early childhood education, Francis Cabello, also explained how the early childhood education curriculum improves practical teaching and learning.
In the curriculum, we have various aspects. And when we take the 4 competencies in the curriculum, the 4 competencies and values, it's when we really work with it, it helps the child to think critically. The generation of thinkers is what the curriculum is bringing up. The generation of children that will be able to bring out what is in them with confidence.
Some teachers and parents during the graduation ceremony also shared their experience.
Honestly, taking care of the child at home, at the same time, balancing time to take care of him to school is not quite an easy thing.
These are young children who need nurturing. So they come into the class or they come into your environment and all you do is to nurture them. You touch them in every special way, emotionally, psychologically. You can think of all the positive things you have to do to mold them.
It's time for international news now. And that'll be all for the news here on GHOne television. My name is Awisi Dede. Jange, have a wonderful afternoon.